Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Armed forces recruitment centers across America are reporting that they're receiving violent threats in the wake of last week's shooting in Chattanooga. Now, this is according to staff who spoke directly with our reporter, Joe Biggs. Now, Biggs traveled to the U.S. Army recruiting station in South Park Meadows here in Austin, Texas yesterday. He was there all day as well again today to provide armed protection as part of a nationwide movement to protest the fact that the law prohibits active duty members who work at such facilities from having weapons. So they are capable of handling weapons and protecting the country. But once they get back, the only people that are allowed to have guns are the violent criminals who are going to go and attack them. Now, a lot of people are really upset about the fact that within hours, the White House was somehow able to arrange all of the colors of the White House to be lit up like a rainbow for the gay marriage decision. But it took 5 days to lower the flag for the dead Marines. Obama only made this decision after intense criticism. And people were wondering, why didn't he lower it like he had in other mass shootings? So a lot of people were really outraged with this. Kind of telling because, like we said, he took the time out to honor those dead Marines only after he wished everyone a happy Ramadan from the White House. And now, not only are they keeping guns away from the recruitment centers, but also they're working away now with the FBI and the VA to get veterans' guns taken away from them. And that's really anybody who gets Social Security. Now, these documents were obtained by the Daily Caller, and Alex Jones spoke with a journalist who broke this story, Patrick Howley, today on the Alex Jones Show.
So joining us is Patrick Howley. Patrick, I tell you, this is bold. This is bold, and of course they're going to camel's nose under the tent flap like they did with Clinton and the vets, but this is intensifying. The vets just complain, yeah, suddenly I can't buy guns. Then you get in New York, California, and Illinois, where they're more bold. They have these state federally funded task forces. They come and say, hey, we don't need any trouble. We're just taking your guns. We're taking you in for psychological evaluation. Don't give us trouble or we're going to have to arrest you. Your medical records show that you were given a designation 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. And it's not that you even are mentally ill or considered violent. It's that you just had some type of psychological counseling. I mean, this is so draconian. You've really ferreted into this. You've really dug into this. What can you tell us?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, and thanks for highlighting this issue, because a lot of publications wouldn't. The Los Angeles Times picked it up just recently, but a few weeks ago, essentially, I started this off by obtaining a memo through a source from inside the Federal Bureau of Investigation, showing that the FBI, and they broke this down, every month, the Department of Veterans Affairs sends a CD-ROM disc with the new names each month of veterans who they feel should be on the National Instant Criminal Background Check list. Now, these are people who did not commit crimes. These are not criminals. These are not people who should be on the National Instant Criminal Background Check system. But these are people who the VA has determined through their own counseling services and their own VA health services. So if these veterans actually do manage to get off the secret paper waiting lists and get in to the facilities to get a real doctor's appointment, they just might say something or do something that will set off the VA. VA will put them on the list. The FBI does not review these cases. The FBI does not investigate these cases. The FBI merely takes the CD-ROM disk from the VA and immediately puts these people on the National Instant Criminal Background Check system, and it's up to the VA. So we know that the FBI and the VA are working together on this. Hundreds of thousands of veterans have been put on the National Instant Criminal Background Check system without their knowledge for things such as switching their bank account to auto pay their debit card. They don't want to cash a paycheck because nobody does anymore. So they just have their pension and benefits put directly onto their debit card. So that is enough to get you onto the list. Having a nurse in your house to cook for household chores if you're old or injured, that's enough to get you on the list. As far as I'm concerned, those are the kind of people who need guns because, if somebody breaks into their house. But that's enough to get you onto the list. The AARP is definitely on board with the Obama agenda. agenda 100%. I mean, they're one of his biggest supporters. The funny thing is, and it's not funny, but I use that term in a dark way, is that a lot of these things, like having a nurse or switching your payments to debit or these trivial things that get people on the list, were suggested to the veterans by the VA. I've talked to veterans who said, I didn't need a nurse to come by. The VA said, you do need a nurse. We've decided that you need a nurse. We're going to give you one. The veteran says, okay, and then the VA puts them down on the list. Now they have a nurse. So it's the VA actually driving these numbers. But, you know, now, as we know, my sources come back with even more documents and found that ATF is now involved. ATF is now working behind the scenes with the FBI on enforcing these cases. ATF, I mean, your viewers know ATF very well. This is the enforcement arm. So we know that the FBI and the VA has been putting these people on the list. Now that they're on the list, ATF knows about it, and ATF can come and knock on your door, and they're going to have guns when they come. Anything you say related to the Social Security Administration, anything you put down on your medical records, that can now be used against you to send ATF agents to your house to take away your guns. And President Obama, who's in the last days of his presidency, and who has a media who doesn't report on this kind of thing, you know, is just going to start enforcing this. And what can people do?
With the clock ticking on 18 months left in his presidency, President Obama is determined to cause considerable damage to the Second Amendment rights of the good citizens of the United States before he leaves office.
You know, I've been very clear that, you know, an assault rifle ban, you know, banning these high-capacity clips, background checks, that there are a set of issues that I have historically supported and will continue to support. Will there be resistance? Absolutely, there will be resistance. I'm going to be putting forward a package, and I'm going to be putting my full weight behind it.
The LA Times reported the push is intended to bring Social Security Administration in line with laws regulating who gets reported to the National Instant Criminal Background Check System, or NICS, which is used to prevent gun sales to felons, drug addicts, immigrants in the country illegally, and others. A potentially large group within Social Security are people who, in the language of federal gun laws, are unable to manage their own affairs due to marked subnormal intelligence or mental illness, incompetency, condition, or disease. Roughly 4.2 million Social Security beneficiaries will be dropped into the same database system that the Veterans Administration is using to come and take it.
My primary care physician called to have a wellness check placed on me, and the local police perform a wellness check. Well, the local police came up, and there was nothing wrong with me. I had no, you know, there was no anxiety. I wasn't combative. I basically, but I wasn't with anybody, so I had no witnesses, and they didn't have a warrant, and they, through intimidation, forcefully commandeered my vehicle and entered my home, searched and seized my weapons, and then, you know, carted me away in an ambulance to psychiatric evaluation, which I was held for 72 hours.
Determining whether someone is unfit to carry a gun will be open to sloppy interpretation, as it could include those who don't pose a danger to anyone, but may not be able to remember names quickly or balance their checkbook. Databases are being created on every red-blooded American, whether you own a firearm or not. The New York Post reported, unbeknownst to most Americans, Obama's racial bean counters are furiously mining data on their health, home loans, credit cards, places of work, neighborhoods, even how their kids are disciplined in school, all to document inequalities between minorities and whites. Hang on for a second. Obama, your white mama is of mostly English ancestry. You are essentially a white man. You're not Martin Luther King.
My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
The American people were making racial progress long before you and your merry band of socialist divide and conquer engineers showed up. And I personally resent that you would have me divided from my fellow Americans, whom I love. While our borders are wide open and we are increasingly under attack by foreign and domestic terrorism, not by veterans or grandpa protecting his small piece of the American pie, but by radicalized Muslim extremists and pharmaceutically induced psychotic Americans, all of which are roaming around gun-free zones, Obama wants our guns. I can't think of a time when Americans needed them more. And according to the recent explosion of gun sales, neither can Americans. John Bound for Infowars.com.
To celebrate the birth of our country and give a big thanks to all the info warriors out there, we are now offering free shipping on every item shipped out of the InfowarsStore.com warehouse. That's free shipping on all t-shirts, books, and DVDs. Free shipping on Molon Labe and 1776 belt buckles, which are also 25% off while supplies last. Free shipping on all of our InfowarsLife.com nutraceuticals. If it's in the InfowarsStore.com warehouse, it's shipping for free, all during the month of July. It's our way of saying thanks to the true heart and soul of this operation, who stand beside us and support us as we wage an info war for liberty and freedom for all. InfowarsStore.com, free shipping for the month of July.